Hey there, this is Ray. Welcome to Naughty Dirty Chinese language channel. I'm happy to be here to share with you about Chinese language. So from today, I'm gonna teach you about Chinese grammar. A little about myself. My name is Ray. I'm Chinese, obvious, and I'm a nerdy, especially in linguistics. I hope that's not obvious. I know grammar knowledge in general, regardless of languages, could be a little boring if you're not a linguistic nerdy like me. So in my lesson, I will moisturize those dry knowledge with fun and dirty example sentences, just to make it fun and easier for you to remember and digest. My theoretical foundation for these lessons would be mainly from this book, which is called Modern Mandarin Chinese Grammar. I really like this book. I don't think you will enjoy reading it as much as I do. But still, I found the instructions or the example sentences are not enough. So I will refer to other resources or my own personal experiences or teaching experience or my personal understanding. I will integrate that in my lessons as well. Another thing is, no matter how new your book is, it is always behind the actual organic knowledge in daily life. So I will keep myself updated with recent new vocabulary and language change. Accordingly, I will embed those changes and new vocabulary into my lessons as well. Lastly, the book could be very strict. Some sentences may be not grammatically acceptable in the book, but they're actually acceptable in the daily life, in the natural language. So I would mention that in my lessons as well. Language is flexible, especially Chinese language. So if you like my lesson, please subscribe it and feel free to comment, of course. So today's lessons is about the syllable, pinyin, and character. First, what is character, pinyin, and syllable? The character example I put it here is called sheng. So this is a character. Sometimes it is referred to as kanji. Kanji is a Japanese pronunciation of character. The syllable in Chinese Mandarin character is consisted of three parts: the initial consonant, and final, and the tone. So here, the initial consonant here is SH, and the final here is ENG, which contains a vowel. We'll talk about the 6 vowels later in this lesson. And also, tone is expressed in this marker. This is tone 1, like like opera tone. We'll talk about tone later as well. So here I want to mention the initial consonant can be absent, but the final, which contains a vowel, cannot be absent. So here would be a. A can be independent. Like 饿 means hungry in Chinese. 我饿了, I'm hungry. So 饿 can be independent. Initial consonant can be absent. Another thing can be absent is the tone. So we also have the character which has no tone at all, like la. It's not one of the phone tones, it's just neutral. So the only thing cannot be absent is actually the vowel. As you can see, the character, even for Chinese, we cannot predict the pronunciation of a Chinese character 100% based on the writing. So we need a transcription to tell us how we pronounce it. That's why Pinyin is invented. And this transcription, based on the alphabets, also called as a romanization. Now I'm going to talk about the relationship between syllable and character. So in Chinese, as you can see, there are 3 characters here, and they all have the same pronunciation and same tone, which is xing. The first xing is a family name means, And the second Xin means gender or sex. And the third one, Xin, usually refers to happiness. They have the same pronunciation but totally different meaning. Another thing I want you to pay attention is, if you know the pronunciation of the first character, you may have a good chance to guess the pronunciation of the second character because they share the same radicals. This is a pretty useful tip for you to know the pronunciation of Chinese. Not 100%, okay? Just to give you a tip, like a reminder sometimes. Sometimes they share the same radical. They have the exact same pronunciation with the exact same tone. Sometimes the tone is different. Sometimes the pronunciation is similar. You never know. So this is just like in English, you have the two words, but they have the same pronunciation, like flower. But in English, it's not that common. In Chinese, it's like everywhere. All in all, one syllable can have different characters, but one character usually have only one syllable. Not always. Maybe only 3 to 5% of Chinese characters have more than one syllables. Now let's study about tone. There are 4 basic tones in Chinese and plus 1 neutral tone, which is nothing. Tone 0 will be 心. Tone 1, 心. Tone 2, 行. Tone 3, 醒. Tone 4, 信. So this is my personal tip for you to acquire, to pick up the tone easier, I hope. So there are 4 tones. Now I'm gonna teach you about the 4 basic tones plus 1 neutral tone. In the 4 tones, there is a bitch tone. I called it bitch tone because it has a little change in the tone, which is very difficult for foreigners. If you can do it like a piece of cake, then you have no problem of the other 3 tones. So the tone 1 is ah. It's like opera. Ah, just keep it there, very high. Ah. Did you get it right? This is the easy one. Next one, I call it doubting tone. And I believe if you study Chinese before, I'm not the only one calling it doubting tone. It's like ah. Think about you're doubting something. Like, really? Ah? The third tone, which is a bitch tone. Look at the bitch B there. Tone 3. Ah. So it starts a little lower. The pitch is a little lower than the first tone. And coming down. Ah. And rising. So it's down and up. Ah. Ah. Did you get it right? Okay, the fourth tone is also easy. You're making orders. You're ordering somebody to do something. Like, ah. Ah. Or think about when you're angry. Ah. Ah. Let's practice one by one. By the way, my lesson is not about pronunciation. It's just about the 4 basic tones. Ah. 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 The next one, think about the donuts, the shape of your mouth. Oh, 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 oh. The next one, the alphabet, E. Keep your shape of mouth like smiling, like flight attendant smile, okay? Not laugh, make your teeth visible. The next one, same shape mouth with E. The next one, The shape of your mouth, as I call it, is kissing shape. Ooh, 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 ooh. The last one, I think, is the easy one for French-speaking people. Yu, 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 yu. Similar with wu, is also kissing shape of your mouth. Okay, I hope you get it right, especially the bitch tone, tone 3. Next one, change of tone. As I mentioned before, the tone doesn't change often. The next one is about change of tone. Usually, 90% the tone just remains the same and the pronunciation remains the same for the most of the time. But there are always exceptions. Like there are always bitches, right? But it is for the convenience of speech, not just a change randomly for nothing. For example, when the word is consisted of two characters which are both tone 4, the previous character will change from tone 4 to tone 2. For example, the original sound of 不 is the fourth tone. 不, remember? Order, angry tone. 不, when it appears in the word 不对, we don't pronounce that. Don't you feel it's a little weird or hard to pronounce? That's why we change it from fourth tone to tone 2. 不对,不对. Similarly, 不是,不是. So 不对 means not right. 是 is a B, M is R. So am not, is not, are not are all translated into 不是 in Chinese. Now let's move on to the second rule regarding the change of tone in Chinese. And I'm pretty sure you will like it because it will make the tone pronunciation in Chinese a lot easier. So this rule states, the last character of one word, phrase, or sentence tend to lose its original tone. No matter if it is tone 1, 2, 3, or 4, it will all become neutral tone, tone 0. Isn't that easy? I will show it to you now. If I pronounce this sentence as its original sound, like 我和挠呀一起坐电车回家. Did you sense a little like unnatural there? It will even sound more unnatural for a native Chinese speaker. So in the daily conversation, it goes like 我和挠呀一起坐电车回家. Did you notice the difference? The tone change will be less intense, becomes more stable actually, because the second character or the last character of one word or phrase becomes neutral tone. 一起 becomes 一起. 坐电车 becomes 坐电车. 回家 becomes 回家. Isn't that easier? That's all for today's class. I hope you get a basic idea of what Chinese character, syllable, and tone is. And don't forget the tone. 4 tones. Opera tone, ah. Doubting tone, ah. Bitch tone, ah. Order and angry tone, ah. Neutral tone, the easiest, ah. Okay, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment. I would be more than happy to reply to you. I hope to see you next time. Bye.